We'll wait a couple more minutes just to wait for folks to trickle in at the top of the hour here. There is some introductory information that I'd like to share as everyone's trickling in just before we get started on the content for today. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining the B2B on Shopify Build with Us session. This session is specifically on migrating to B2B on Shopify. So, if this is your first Build with Us session with us, welcome. We will be sending a follow up email after the session is complete, which will include a recording of the session, as well as a link to our B2B resource hub, which includes many links and resources that will be helpful for you in your migration. In the hub, you can also watch back all of our previous Build With Us sessions, and you can review some of our old question and answers sheets that can help you with any questions that you have along the way. We'll also be doing the same for this session. So you'll notice that on the right-hand side of your screen, you have a Q&A panel on the right. We won't be answering questions as we go along, but we will be answering them at the end of the session. So if questions do come up, please enter them in the chat. Our moderators will review them and we'll get to your questions at the end. We'll get to as many questions as we possibly can within the hour that we have. So, the purpose of these Build With Us sessions is to connect with merchants like yourselves and do a deep dive on a specific area of Shopify's product. So, in this case, B2B. So, we can shed light on all of the work that our B2B team has been doing into making Shopify a truly hybrid platform. Like I mentioned, there will be time at the end to have all of your questions answered. And if we don't get to your question, because we often do get many that trickle in, our B2B team will be working on a question and answer document that will be uploaded to the resource hub afterwards. So even if we don't answer your question live, your question will be answered and will be coming in the days to come. On that note, I would love to introduce the team that will be presenting today's content. So to introduce myself quickly, first of all, my name is Christina. I'm from Shopify's Platform Solutions team, and I oversee the Build With Us series. So I love connecting product and merchants to make sure that we're always building the best platform that we can. Today, I'm joined by some major B2B product and engineering powerhouses. Very excited to have these folks on board today. We have Robin, our senior product marketing lead. We have Sam, our staff content designer. We have Dan, our senior developer. We also have Geeta, our B2B product lead, and Ben, our senior B2B product lead. So there are a lot of experts on the call today. These are the people that will be answering your questions and kind of guiding you through the content today. So without further ado, let's hop into the agenda. You're likely tuning into the session today because your business sells B2B to some degree, whether you sell via the Plus wholesale channel or perhaps through an expansion store, or maybe you're just starting to explore B2B for your business and you're looking for assistance and guidance on getting started with that. Our session today focuses primarily on migrating to B2B on Shopify, which is our premier wholesale feature set. And B2B on Shopify is built directly into the core of Shopify's platform. So, the agenda today, Robin will provide an overview of B2B on Shopify, including our newly released features, and she will also be going over a comparison to the legacy wholesale solution, which is the Plus wholesale channel. The Plus wholesale channel will be deprecating in late April 2024, so you'll get a better idea of the feature parity between the Plus wholesale channel and B2B on Shopify today. After that, Geeta will then lead a live product walkthrough or a demo of the new wholesale migration tool, and that will streamline the process of migrating your existing wholesale data to B2B on Shopify. So stay tuned for that demo. It'll be really great. And finally, as I mentioned, we will be closing with a Q&A session, as well as an open discussion with folks from the B2B product, marketing, UX, and engineering teams. So definitely get your questions in. You'll also be able to thumbs up or thumbs down other folks' questions, which will help our team prioritize the questions as we go. Last but not least, there is a survey linked at the bottom of your screen. We would sincerely appreciate you taking 30 seconds to a minute to fill in the survey after the webinar. This will help us get a better idea of where you're at in your migration process, how you're approaching the migration, and just will help us get a lot of great qualitative feedback from our merchants, which we love. Um, Lastly, the migration kit is also linked on the bottom of your screen for your review. So I definitely recommend opening up that link and bookmarking it, sending it to any folks on your team that would benefit from going through that migration kit. Perfect. That is essentially it for all of the agenda housekeeping items. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Robin, who will get us going with the first part of the session here. So take it away, Robin.
Thanks, Christina. Hey, everyone. I'm Robin, and I'm on the product marketing team for B2B on Shopify. To set the stage today, I'm going to give you a quick sketch of our new wholesale feature set. B2B on Shopify is a suite of powerful and flexible wholesale features that are built directly into the core of Shopify. It allows Plus merchants to customize the buying experience for all of their customers directly from the admin and really leverage the full power of the Shopify platform for their business. B2B on Shopify is also purpose built to solve for some of the frustrations that merchants have had with the Plus wholesale channel. So let's talk about what makes it stand apart as a B2B solution. The first point, and probably the most important, is that you can leverage the full power of the Shopify platform for your B2B business. No more siloed sales channels to manage B2B. Our suite of features is built right into the core of Shopify, which gives you access to all of our most powerful features to support your wholesale business, like themes, functions, APIs, markets, flow, and more. As part of the online store, B2B on Shopify gives you the option to operate either a single blended store that accepts both B2B and D2C orders to streamline the admin experience, or you could have a B2B only dedicated store for limitless customization. Both store types have advantages that you can read about more in our help docs, but either way, you've got the full power of the Shopify platform behind you. Second, we give you the ability to customize the B2B buying experience. For merchants who have already made the switch to B2B on Shopify, one of the common reasons driving their move was the lack of customization available to them on the wholesale channel. This makes perfect sense. We know that buyer expectations are changing, and it's not enough for your wholesale business to just be online anymore. Merchants need to provide personalized buying experiences that make it easy for customers to place and pay for their orders, manage their account, and see all the essential information they need in one place. With our suite of features, you have full control over the buying experience. Easily match the branded experience of your DTC store or create something entirely new for B2B. It's up to you. In addition to Shopify's core features like themes and flow, you have access to our new out of the box B2B features to customize all of the wholesale products, pricing, and payment terms your buyers will see. And lastly, B2B on Shopify is really easy to migrate to and seamlessly integrate it to the rest of your business. With our new migration tool that we're going to talk about later today, you can easily transfer your existing customers, price lists, and order history to our new suite of features with minimal effort. Because all of our features are part of the same admin you use for D2C, you don't need to hire a developer or contact support to create and manage your B2B store. Anyone on your team can use our admin and feature set. No coding experience required. As a last piece to this theme, our platform is flexible enough to connect all of your business systems so you can automate back office tasks and ensure your customers have access to the most up-to-date product, pricing, inventory, and account information 24/7. B2B on Shopify is the future of wholesale on our platform and one we're heavily invested in. Over the past 11 months, we've released over 3 dozen features just for B2B that you can use immediately and at no extra charge. But we're not stopping there. Over the course of the next 6 months, we'll be releasing even more features out of the box, customization to support your B2B business, like sales rep support, ACH payments, bulk buying workflows, and more. We're so excited for what's to come, and we hope you are too. So we're going to dive in on the individual features of B2B on Shopify and the Plus Wholesale channel so you can compare the two. I'll start by telling you about the features that are exclusive to B2B on Shopify and are available for you to use today. The first one we've already mentioned, access to the online store and all the amazing features it includes. We've also introduced the idea of business buyer profile when launching in summer of last year. This means you can create a single company that has multiple company locations and contacts attached to it to keep all of your essential customer information in one place. Each company location can have up to 500 locations and 500 customer contacts. Plus, settings like payment terms, tax exemptions, catalogs, and more can all be personalized to each location. Next is payment flexibility and reconciliation. At checkout, wholesale customers can easily add a card on file using vaulted credit cards powered by Shopify Payments. You can charge that card on file whenever payments are due within the admin. No back and forth with your customers required. You can also send payment reminders using Shopify Flow to notify customers of their payments as they become due and overdue. B2B customers also have the ability to better manage their own orders and accounts using our intuitive self-serve portal. With flexible shipping address, you can decide on a per customer basis whether buyers are able to enter in a new one-time shipping address at checkout. Customers can also place easy reorders by navigating to their order history page and any order details page and hit the Buy Again button to easily duplicate past orders. Customers will then be able to modify the products and quantities in their cart and place their reorder with just a few clicks. And now there's no need to second guess order accuracy and tracking. Customers can now enter a PO number for their order at checkout using a dedicated field that's visible to them within their order history and to you and your team within the admin. Okay, so we've covered the features that are exclusive to B2B on Shopify and available to use today in your B2B store. But let's talk about the features that are coming soon to B2B on Shopify. First up, we've got automation and true time savings for your B2B business. With support for companies and company locations in Flow, launching very soon, you'll be able to automate back office tasks like assigning payment terms or customer communications when orders are placed. These are just two of the many automated workflows you can create with Shopify Flow. Next, sales rep permissions. With this feature in place, you'll be able to boost sales rep productivity by giving them limited access to the admin. They'll be able to easily access relevant information for the customers they're assigned to and place their orders on their behalf, all from the same platform you use today. And with extensibility in our self-serve portal, you'll be able to customize the buyer experience as needed and go beyond what Shopify offers out of the box. So we've now talked about what sets B2B apart on Shopify in terms of features. Now let's look at what it has in common with the Plus Wholesale channel. B2B on Shopify allows you to set customer-specific prices, price lists, and payment terms, and you can customize the product selections that are shown to customers once they log into your B2B store. Also, quantity rules, which is our name for minimum, maximum, and increment rules for product purchasing, can be set on a per customer basis. We've also incorporated some of the most popular features of the wholesale channel into B2B on Shopify. This includes checkout to draft. You can continue requiring all or some of your customers to submit their orders as draft for further review, or approve them automatically for a streamlined order process. And your customers will never lose the ability to easily place and pay for their own orders. B2B on Shopify, as we've mentioned, includes an intuitive self-serve portal that customers can access 24/7 from anywhere in the world. And then moving on to features that are coming soon that are shared across both solutions, volume pricing. With this soon to be released core feature, you'll be able to easily set up out of the box volume pricing, automating the pricing B2B customers see in the storefront and cart. Volume prices will apply to variants, not products, so quantity thresholds must be set per SKU. Next, company account requests. Using the Shopify Forms app, you'll be able to add a customizable self-serve request form to your store that connects directly to the Shopify admin, so no need for duplicate entry of customer data. Once customers are approved, you'll be able to immediately transfer their submitted information to a company profile. And then lastly, bulk buying workflows. This is not going to be limited to just one launch, but our first feature to be released as part of bulk buying workflows is called Quick Order List, and we expect this to launch by midsummer 2023. With quick order lists, your customers can see all the variants of a product in list format on the PDP page and then just quickly add multiple variants to their cart in seconds. Now, there are some features from the Plus Wholesale channel that we don't plan to support in the near future with B2B on Shopify, and we want to let you know what those are. The first feature is percentage discounts off selected collections. Now, using the core catalogs feature, you can easily set fixed price or percentage off discounts per price list, and you can also implement specific fixed prices for individual variants and products as needed. It is not possible, however, to set different percentage off discounts for different collections within the same catalog. If this is how you structure your pricing, we recommend you split your collections into separate catalogs. The second is product level quantity rules. We support variant level quantity rules today, so you can create minimum, maximum, and increment rules for purchasing variants. Each variant can have its own set of rules. What is not possible, though, is the ability for customers to meet your thresholds for product purchasing by mixing and matching different variants to meet a certain minimum, increment, or maximum threshold. And lastly, product level volume pricing. I mentioned this on the previous slide, but volume prices will only apply when purchasing variants in higher quantities, not products. Similar to quantity rules, customers will not be able to mix and match variants of a given product to meet volume pricing thresholds. If you have any questions about these features, please feel free to go ahead and enter your questions into chat now for our team to answer during the Q&A portion of this session, or you can reach out to Plus Support. And now, before moving on to the product walkthrough of our new migration tool, there's one more thing for us to discuss. Migration kits. The Shopify team has been hard at work to ensure that your migration to B2B on Shopify is as seamless as possible and that you feel supported every step of the way. We've developed migration kits for you to use as a guide and to highlight different things to consider before moving over. In the migration kits, you'll find steps for migrating, checklists for assessing your current wholesale setup and requirements to map your migration path, links to helpful resources, and more. We will be sending all of you who are registered or attending this webinar a link to our migration kits after this session, so be on the lookout for them in your inbox. They'll be really helpful for your migration process. And with that, we've reached the most exciting part of our session today, the live product walkthrough. I'm going to hand it over to our product lead, Geeta, to take us through the wholesale migration tool.
Hey everyone, I'm Geeta from the product team at Shopify. As Robin just mentioned, as a reminder, we do have migration kits now available to support you in your migration. So no need to worry if you miss any steps during my demonstration. You can always reference these documents as needed at a later time. So let's get started. The first step in the migration process is to determine whether you want to run a blended store or a dedicated store. Option 1 is a blended store, which accepts both B2B and D2C orders. B2B buyers can log into their accounts to access wholesale catalog pricing and payment terms. This option has the benefit of keeping all your business data in one place and allowing you to manage your store settings easily. However, if you need to differentiate between B2B and D2C around shipping settings, inventory, and theme and navigation settings, or if you have completely different operations teams or legal entities between B2B and D2C, then a blended store is not the way to go. Option 2 is a dedicated store, exclusively used by B2B customers. Here you have more control around settings and customization specific to B2B customers. Using a dedicated store allows you to separate inventory and business data between B2B and D2C stores. The only downside is that you would need to create 2 online stores and manage your products, collections, and pricing across 2 shops. If you do not sell D2C or plan to run a blended store, you can use the same store that you currently run the Plus Wholesale channel on. Otherwise, if you decide to set up B2B on a new separate store, you'll need to move your Plus Wholesale channel data, such as customers, orders, themes, and price lists, Detailed instructions for this process can be found in our Help Center. So now I'm going to walk you through the migration process for setting up B2B on Shopify on the same store where you currently have PWC set up. So the first step I'm going to show you is using the company setup tool to convert your existing wholesale channel customers into B2B companies and locations. We recommend doing this step first to make it easier to automatically add price lists to your companies later. This is done as follows. In the Customers section of your Shopify admin, you can select the wholesale customers to be converted to B2B companies. You can choose these individually. You can select up to 250 at a time, or use a filter to bulk select them. So for example, I've used the tag Platinum to indicate my wholesale customers that have access to my Platinum price list. If I apply this filter, you can see I have this subset of customers. So I'm going to select these customers and add them to companies. There will be one company created for each customer. So you can see I have the option to add the customer's past orders to the companies, to the new companies I'll be creating, set up some checkout options, such as whether I want their orders to be submitted as draft for review, and also select payment terms. So I'm going to add past orders here. I have net 15 on these companies. We'll set them up. The process is very fast, but depending on how many customers are being migrated to companies at the same time, it could take a little bit of time. But you will receive an email confirmation when the process is complete. It is important that the customer being used to create the company has an email address on file. Otherwise, you'll get an error when trying to migrate them to a company. However, if any of the customers fail to convert to a company, in the confirmation email, we send you a CSV containing all errors and the link to the customer for you to fix and try again. The most common errors we have seen are incorrect addresses and missing email addresses. So now you can see that the customers that I selected to convert to companies have been converted to companies with all their past orders appearing on the company page. So I select this one, all the past orders have been imported, and the checkout settings reflect those that I selected, net 15 here. As you can see, the customer name has been used as the default company name, but I can update it to reflect their organization name. As a note, company names in B2B must be unique. A location has also been created based on the customer's default address, with the original customer listed as the main contact for both the company and location. I have the option to create additional locations and to add additional customers to locations. Of note, customers can only be added to one company, but can be given access to multiple locations. Currently, one company is set up for each customer selected using this tooling, and the past orders of that customer are assigned to the company if that option is selected. Any subsequent customers added to the same company will not currently have their orders associated, though that is something we're planning to implement shortly in the next iteration of the tooling. The next step in the migration process is copying your wholesale price lists to B2B catalogs. Like companies, price list titles should be unique from the existing catalog titles prior to migrating them. So to complete the step, you go into wholesale, select the price list that you want to migrate, and then click Copy Price Lists to Catalogs. And you can choose here whether you want to assign catalogs to companies that you've set up. This part's very handy, and we expect it to save you a lot of time. So I'm going to leave this checkbox enabled. Copy my price lists over. Like migrating customers, you will receive an email confirmation when the process is complete. This part of the migration process is fairly straightforward, but there are a few differences and limitations you should be aware of, details of which can be found in our Help Center. Be aware that price lists containing volume pricing are not yet eligible for migration. So if you have any price lists containing volume pricing, I suggest holding off on migrating them until the next iteration of the tooling is available, which will support this. After you've migrated your price list, you'll find them under the catalogs section of your admin. Here you can see all of the price lists have been migrated to catalogs. And if I go back to my customer company Mary Curie, you can see that the platinum price list has automatically been assigned as the platinum catalog to that customer. We put a lot of work into making sure your move from PWC to B2B on Shopify goes smoothly with no headaches. But we want to hear from you if anything is unclear or not working as you expected. Your feedback is valuable to us, and we're here to help to make any necessary adjustments and improvements. So don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, I'll hand it back to Christina, who will lead us through Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Geeta. Really appreciate that walkthrough. Always great to see the admin and the product in action. So we have made it to the Q&A portion of the session today. I've been seeing a lot of questions coming in through the chat already, which is excellent, because this is your chance to get your questions answered by the B2B product team and the folks who are actually building this product and making everything happen. So we will start with a few pre-submitted questions that we had already, and please feel free to continue to add questions through the Q&A functionality as we go. As I mentioned earlier, you can also give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to questions that you are more curious about, and that'll help us gauge interest as well. Just a really quick piece of housekeeping. Please keep your questions relevant to the topic that we covered today. That's because we have a number of existing FAQ documents on our B2B resource hub that you can refer to if you have questions outside of today's presentation scope. Also, if you have any store-specific questions, those are best suited for our Plus support team. So please keep your questions more general. And we will get to as many questions as we can before the top of the hour here. So to assist with the Q&A today, we have Robin, Geeta, Dan, and Ben, and Sam. So I will be bringing everyone onto the screen now. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And we will kick it off with our first question. The first question is, where can I find a demo of B2B on Shopify and its features?
I got you. We have a resource hub for B2B on Shopify. We're going to send you an email after this session that has a link to that resource hub. It's got demos and previous sessions. It's also going to have some other goodies like the migration tooling, migration kits and everything. So keep an eye on your email and you're going to get all of the above.
Amazing. We love the resource hub. So many great things there. Second question. Are you planning to release a second version of the migration tool that will allow me to attach multiple customers and their order history to a single location? What about creating multiple locations for a single company?
Absolutely. As I mentioned in my demo, we'll be releasing the next version of the tooling very soon. First, we'll be supporting volume pricing in migration, and then soon after, we'll add support for adding multiple customers to the same company and bringing in their historical orders.
Amazing. Third question. I'm on classic customer accounts for my D2C store. Do I need to migrate my D2C customers to new customer accounts to operate a blended store?
So B2B on Shopify does require you to be on new customer accounts, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to move over your existing classic accounts. You can still operate with classic accounts for your D2C customers, but keep in mind there are some caveats to be aware of. The most notable one is that each of them has a separate login page, so you just need to be very clear that you're directing your D2C customers to the D2C login and your B2B customers to the new customer login page.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying, Dan. Appreciate that. Next up, will there be a specific B2B Shopify theme that would have the ability to adjust quantities easily on the PDP, similar to current wholesale channel PDP?
That's a really great question. So we definitely know how important easy ordering is for B2B buyers. We don't currently have a B2B specific theme, but it is on our roadmap along with features like quick order forms. And the good news is that in the next couple of weeks, we'll also be releasing features that allow you to contextualize your online store just for your B2B customers while still operating a blended setup, if that's interesting to you.
Yeah, and we're releasing the quick order list in a few weeks as well. That allows you within the same product tap through variants and add as many of the variants as you want. What Sam was mentioning was like at product level, you can just enter a SKU and get the relevant products and order them really quickly. And that is coming hopefully before the end of the year.
Exciting. So many features launching on B2B. I'm always so impressed. Moving on, next question. Will we be able to keep our existing URL that we currently share to our wholesale customers?
This one is a tricky one because it depends on your setup. But in most cases, if you have a custom domain pointed at your wholesale channel, it's not a feature that we have built or anything, but because you have a custom domain, you should be able to transfer it to and just repoint it at your regular Shopify store or your B2B store. If you are still using the default domain provided by the wholesale channel, that won't be possible, unfortunately. But I imagine most of you would be in that first bucket.
Perfect, thank you. Next one, we are breezing through these questions here. Can vaulted credit cards be turned off if not wanted?
That's an interesting question. So credit card vaulting is not a mandatory action by the buyer. So first of all, it is available only on Shopify payments. But if your buyer chooses to vault their credit card, there is no way to disable that. So they'll be able to vault it and then on subsequent purchases use the vaulted cards. But it also gives you the ability to charge that vaulted card in admin for your net term customers. So the direct answer is no, it can't be turned off. But we're really interested to know why you would want it to be turned off. If there are some regulations or some reasons for you to not want to have your buyers vault their cards. So if you can, reach out to us and would love to hear from you.
Amazing. Always love to hear that product feedback. Next question, will single sign-on or multipass be added?
I'll take that one as well. Yes. So we're not going to be calling it multipass. It is the next version of multipass. B2B is always built on the future of Shopify, and it is called third-party authentication, and it is in our roadmap. We don't have a timeline yet, but our goal is end of the year. We should have it, but again, stay tuned. We'll have more information coming up.
Excellent. Next question. Will this info session be available for those unavailable to make this? Yes, this webinar is being recorded. You will receive the recording after the session in an email, along with all of the resources that Robin was speaking to. And so you can share the recording with anyone on your team that'd be interested in looking back on the demo or the questions. Great. Next question. Will migration for customers into companies be easy? Define easy. Just kidding.
What do you mean, Christina? Of course, Gita just demoed it. So yes, our goal is to make this as easy as possible. So as Gita walked through, it should be really straightforward to take your existing plus wholesale channel customers and set them up as B2B companies. When you're ready to start migrating, we recommend that you start with a handful of customers. That way you can get familiar with the tooling, test out the different options that you have for setting up the settings on your companies. And then when you're ready, you can easily migrate up to 250 customers at a time.
Sounds easy to me. Perfect. Next question. Will it be possible to do category level quantity rules?
I could take a stab at this one too. So currently quantity rules on catalogs are set at the variant level and can be managed in bulk through CSV if you're trying to apply them to all the products within a collection or all the variants within a product. Very soon, though, you'll be able to manage your quantity rules directly in the admin. So no category level quantity rules right now.
Thank you, Sam. All right, how can we add hundreds of customers to the one company in bulk?
This is a great question. Currently, our migration tooling supports one-to-one customer to company creation, as I demonstrated, but we are planning to release a second version of the tooling that will support merging multiple customers into a single company. But we'd love for you to reach out so we can learn more about your use case.
Definitely. Right.
I'm just going to add that I think we talked about this a little bit, but there is a maximum, there's a limit of 500 customers per location. So effectively, we support having 500 distinct buyers purchasing on behalf of one company. But if you're planning to have, all of your customers lumped into the same company, we probably should talk to see how to better organize your customer base to first of all avoid these limits and also be able to utilize B2B and Shopify the best.
Thanks, that's a great note. In the dedicated store, can we use the same SKUs as our existing D2C store?
I was reading this and it depends on what you mean. Can we use the same SKUs? So a dedicated store is just a brand new shop under the same Plus organization. So yes, you could use the same SKU numbers, but in terms of having the same products be accessible through in both shops, no, you would have to export your products and import them into the new dedicated shop and effectively sync your product list across two shops. If you want to have, there are tools out there to allow syncing, but if this is an important part of your business, then we recommend using a blended store so you can have the same inventory and product between B2B and D2C.
Excellent. Does anyone have anything to add there? Okay, moving on. If you want to use classic customer accounts for D2C, do you suggest a dedicated store?
I think Dan touched a little bit on this one. So I'll reframe the question to just say that if you want to operate a blended store, it is possible to fork the experience so that you've got your B2B customers on new customer accounts and you've got your D2C on classic customer accounts. And it really comes down to what's best for your business. We wouldn't necessarily recommend going the dedicated route just to avoid that fork, because it is possible to preserve classic customer accounts for your D2C route. Other reasons why it might make sense to operate a dedicated store is if you have separate legal entities, if you want to keep your inventory between D2C and B2B totally separate, or if you have a separate back office or totally separate teams managing those parts of your business. But it is possible to keep the fork between D2C and B2B in terms of new versus classic customer accounts right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam. Okay. How flexible will the new payment options be? Many B2B customers pay with direct bank transfers or even checks. How will that work with online sales?
So we will be supporting bank transfers in the future, and we're actively working on timelines that we can hopefully share with you soon. We don't have any plans to support checks at this time, but you can install payment apps to support bank payments right now. So that's also an option.
Perfect. Anything to add from anyone there before we move on? Alrighty. We currently handle wholesale with a percentage discount and not price lists. What is the recommendation for generating price lists and maintaining them?
All right, so definitely we recommend using price lists here. I don't. It depends on how you've got these set up, but the easiest way is probably to use a spreadsheet and then import all your prices in catalog. The other way to do that is just start from a brand new price list. So in the catalog section, create a price list, add your percentage decrease. You can, basically with one button, add all of your products in there, and then save, and you're done with that price list. And then you can just apply it to in bulk to as many locations as you want. So it's probably easier to try, start from scratch and create these price lists, and then maintaining it as long as there's a checkbox that says add additional products automatically to this catalog. As long as that checkbox is checked, then you don't have a lot of maintenance to do. But there's a lot of tooling that we've built around catalogs that help you maintain these price lists, add, remove products, add, remove product visibility, add, remove volume pricing in the future, and quantity limits, and so on. There's also support for multi-currency. There's a whole bunch of things around price lists that we highly recommend you utilize as opposed to discounts. There is also a video that actually our very own Sam produced that is in the resource hub that goes through how to create catalogs, what are some of the functionalities that we support in catalogs. Highly recommend visiting or watching that video.
Fantastic. Okay, next question. My wholesale customers are entered into Shopify with their name. Is it possible to migrate customers to company names instead of having to change the name later?
This is a really great question. So the tooling does use customer name, sorry, lots of C's, customer name as the default company name. And that's because we know that not all wholesale channel customers have a company name associated with them. And we wanted to make it super easy when you do this setup to identify which customer is mapping to which company at a glance. So the company name would need to be updated afterwards. One option you could consider is using a tool like Matrixify to make a bulk update to company names so that you could export those companies, update the names, and then upload them all in one go.
Fantastic. Next question. We really are breezing through. My wholesale customers are entered into Shopify. Oh, I'm rereading the question that Sam just answered. We will skip that then. New question. At this time, I believe there are only 2 permissions assignable to a customer. Will more permissions be added? If so, do you have an ETA for when that might be?
I can take this one too. So that's correct. We do offer 2 permission options. I'll just run through them quickly. So there's ordering only, and this allows customers to place orders for the locations that they're added to. And then there's also the location admin permission, which allows customers to order as well as make additional changes, things like updating the address of the location or managing vaulted cards on the location. We are definitely considering other permission levels that would actually give buyers even more access. Timelines for this are, Ben, I'm looking at you, I believe it's on our roadmap, but no time is I think we can share just yet.
Yeah, that's probably the best answer.
But I will say that if you have particular use cases that you're looking for, please always feel free to reach out and share those because we love hearing your insights.
Yeah. Now, so on the admin side, we're also adding a new set of permission for sales rep. So sales reps will be able to be added as staff and only have access to the customers or companies that are assigned to them and place orders only on behalf of those customers. So it's not really the same permission as you're talking about, but there's also a set of permissions that we're adding on the admin side that adds more flexibility. And then there's another project in our roadmap that Geeta is actually going to be running, which is around buyer workflows. So with buyer workflows, we're going to be looking at, how one buyer might be placing an order and another buyer from the same organization might be approving the order. Like those type of flows will then require additional permissions. So there's more coming, but in terms of like strictly going in and trying to add new types of permissions, we have it in our roadmap, but no timelines, as Sam mentioned.
Great. Next question here. Will we be able to manage the same inventory on a dedicated storefront for B2B?
This is a great question. So The short answer is not natively. We don't have any way of syncing up the two inventories between separate sites. However, there are third-party inventory management systems that do this in our app store, and I'd suggest using one of those if you need that distinction.
Perfect. How will the customer view the prices associated with their account? Will they have access only after logging in?
Yeah, I can take this one as well. So yes, specific customer prices are only visible after they've logged in, and this just allows more complex pricing scenarios. So for example, you can have catalogs assigned, multiple catalogs assigned to the same location, each handling a different currency, and that would enable you to really fine tune your currency conversions. And so a customer, for example, logging in from a different in a different currency, they would receive your specific currency conversions that were configured in that second catalog. So short answer is yes. Currently, the only way to view those prices is for the customer to log in.
You're muted, Ben.
That's because the only way for us to know whether a customer is B2B or D2C is once they log in. So if you actually have pricing that you want for your logged out customers, then really a dedicated store is the only way to go. And then you just have your base prices would be your wholesale pricing. And then you would require a customer login. You would not assign any catalogs, but they would be required to log in before they can purchase. The power of catalogs is that once a customer logs in, then they would have, as Dan mentioned, multi-currency. They would have customer-specific pricing, but also customer-specific product publishing. So specific products will be available for them to purchase and others will not. And then quantity rules, volume pricing, a whole bunch of things that would be valuable for your business. Those will be all available once the customer logs in.
Fantastic. Next question here. Do existing customers have to be migrated into a company if we use a blended store?
So your existing plus wholesale channel customers need to be migrated into companies to take advantage of the B2B features that Robin spoke about earlier in this presentation, such as checkout to draft and net terms. Your D2C customers, however, do not need to be migrated or assigned to companies. They can continue to purchase as normal.
Great. Thanks, Gita. All right. Are B2B account pages customizable? If not, will that be on the product roadmap?
I think that's me. Yeah. So there is some customization right now on the customer account pages, and that customization is right now only on branding. So you can make the colors, fonts, and your logo changes in the customer accounts based on what you have for your checkout page or your website. We will have additional customization in customer accounts page through extensibility. So if you're familiar with how our extensibility works in checkout, you will be able to add apps. You would be able to add UI extensions to fully customize the experience. However, we're not planning to have the same level of customizability that the classic customer accounts has, which is through Liquid. The future that we're going towards is customizability through extensions. We believe it is faster and it is a lot more secure, and we'll make sure. And because we basically own the experience, then we can make sure that it's reliable and secure. So stay tuned. Our goal is, I believe, to have our developer preview available by the end of the year. So you'll be able to start building apps and customizations then.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben. Okay. Next question. Can you please explain the hierarchy of location, companies, and customers?
Sure. So companies represent your buying entity or the company that is buying from you. Locations represent different locations for that company. So for example, brick and mortar stores in different cities or neighborhoods. Customers represent buyers assigned to locations of that company. And these buyers can have different permission levels, as Sam shared in an answer to an earlier question.
I think the only thing that I'll add to what Geeta said is that all of the configuration that happens in B2B and Shopify is a company location level. So a company location level is basically your ship to. So your payment terms, your catalogs, your checkout to draft settings, your flexible shipping address, your tax exemptions, all of that applies at company location level. The company is more of a shell that holds multiple ship to addresses.
Perfect. This next person is asking about the timeline for the deprecation of the wholesale channel.
I'll take this one. So that we are planning to deprecate the wholesale channel in April 2024.
Perfect. How can I set up a B2B store within my organization if I haven't set up a wholesale channel?
I'll take that one. So if you're not currently using the Plus wholesale channel, you can definitely use B2B on Shopify. We'd love to have you. And the steps are not entirely dissimilar. So you'd still make decisions like whether you want to set up a dedicated or a blended store, those types of things that you'd think about up front. And then we do have documentation in our Help Center docs and in our resource hub to help you get started in setting up things like your companies as well as your B2B login and all of that good stuff. So there's lots of documentation, and I believe hopefully we can include the links to that in the follow-up email as well.
I think the great thing that I'm biased, but the great thing about B2B and Shopify is that it is Shopify. So if you're in a Plus organization, you have B2B on Shopify right off the bat. There is no switch to turn on. There is no access that you need to request. There is no new contract. It is part of Shopify. So if you want to set up B2B on Shopify, as Sam mentioned, you set up your companies, you set up your catalogs, and you're done. There is there is nothing that requires contacting us or setting up something new. With that said, again, as Sam mentioned, there's a ton of documentation in our help center, including one that says how to get started with B2B. There's also a video that is in the resource center, the Build With Us resource center, that demos B2B on Shopify. And there's also a video as part of our first session, Build With Us session, that I ran that was around how do you start with setting up your B2B on Shopify. So we do recommend looking at those demos on how to set it up, 15, 20 minutes, and you should be ready to go.
There are so many great resources out there, and everyone attending the webinar will be receiving a link to this webinar recording, the resource center, the help documentation, which includes step-by-step instructions, which is very, very helpful. So stay tuned for all of those links as we move on. Next question. Is there a way to bulk import customers from a legacy system using a CSV or Excel file?
I can take that one too, because I love all the new B2B setup theme. So with that one, there's a couple options. If you're using a legacy system, one of the simplest options would be using something like Matrixify, which would allow you to easily import customers as companies from a legacy system. So you can kind of do that in one step. There's also other options to directly import customers as customers, and those are outlined in our help documentation as well. So it really sort of depends on what works best for you. But yes, absolutely, you can use bulk uploads. It makes the process really simple.
Absolutely. Will it be possible to enable text message one-time logins?
So for context, new customer accounts requires email and a one-time code to log in. This provides a secure experience and means no more forgotten passwords, which is great for folks like me. Currently, that one-time code can only be sent to an email address.
Yeah, I believe the team who's been building on the new customer accounts has some plans to support different types of two-factor authentication. We don't have a timeline for it, but I believe it is coming sometime in 2024. But don't hold me to it.
Perfect. What is the best way to set up separate shipping rules for B2B bulk orders, specifically in a blended store?
Great question. So I understood this as having shipping rules that apply to D2C and shipping rules that apply to B2B. So there is no admin way to do this, but you can do it with a little bit of coding using functions. Specifically, shipping and delivery functions allow you to display the right or make the right shipping rates available at the time of checkout. And all of the functions that we have right now, minus the discount function, do support B2B and D2C contextualization. And what that means is that when you're writing the function, you can say, if it is a B2B customer, display these shipping rates, otherwise display the other shipping rates. So you can absolutely do that. It does require a little bit of coding on your side. And again, there's a ton of documentation on functions around how to build these, what is available, and how to run them, all of that.
Perfect. Next question related to currencies. Is it possible to switch currencies on a product to align with that customer's location?
Yes. So this is a setting in Shopify Markets, I believe. So B2B on Shopify is fully compatible with Shopify Markets, unlike PWC. So you get the full localization support. And also just to call back to one of my earlier questions, you can even fine tune your currency conversions by setting up specific catalogs for those currencies.
This is great then. So one thing that, for example, you can do is if you have set a market set up, you can have different catalogs for different markets. So that is supported in B2B customers, and your D2C customers will be able to leverage that. But then again, as Dan mentioned, you can create a catalog for a specific B2B location, so that when they change their country, it overrides their market catalog with their B2B catalog. And because B2B catalogs support multi-currency, you can actually have fixed prices in the presentment currency for each of these catalogs. So if you don't have that and you don't have a market catalog, but you have set up markets, we automatically take care of the currency conversion. So you may end up with a 1293 USD or something like that. But with B2B catalogs as well as market catalogs, then you can do all sorts of rounding and be very, very granular to exactly what you want your merchants to see. And this is, again, another a feature that is available on B2B and Shopify that you wouldn't have on PWC.
Perfect. I'm loving the callouts between different products at Shopify, B2B and extensibility, B2B and markets. It's excellent. This may be another question for you, Dan. Can you create and maintain price lists via the API, REST, or GraphQL?
Yes, totally. So this is supported in our latest admin GraphQL API. So not the REST API, but the GraphQL API. But with that API, you can fully add, remove, manage prices, quantity rules, etc. And as we release features, those will also be released on those APIs.
Discussion, we are running out of time. So we're going to wrap up the Q&A portion for today's session. Thank you so much to everyone on the call for your subject matter expertise and your guidance through all of these questions. If we didn't get to any audience questions, they will be answered in a PDF coming in a number of days, so keep an eye out for that. And before we head out, just another reminder that this will be recorded and you will receive links to all of the help documentation that we've been referencing throughout the session. So please refer to that. And last but not least, there is a survey at the bottom of your screen that I mentioned a little bit earlier. We would really love to have your product feedback because our product teams look at this feedback just to understand where you're at with your migration process. If there are any places where you're getting stuck or anywhere that you need further support, that's what we're here for. So we'd really appreciate if you could fill in that feedback form that's just on the bottom of your screen there. And without further ado, I think we can end the session. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and everyone who was here to answer the Q&A. It's very much appreciated. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your morning, evening, or night, wherever you're tuning in from, and have a great week ahead.